Good evening, race fans. This is Rob from the Area 51 Racing Podcast. Tonight, I'm bringing you episode 83. Tonight, I'm going to be doing my race recap for this past weekend's races at Echo Park Speedway, formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway, for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and NASCAR Cup Series. And then I'll also be giving you my Rob's Racing hot takes for this week. We may also have a special guest. I don't know if he is going to make it or not. He was running late at work, so may or may not be here. He may pop in. I'll have him join in if he's able to. But to get things started, we'll do the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race recap from Lime Rock Park Road Course. That's right. Sorry, I apologize for saying that the race was at Echo Park for the Truck Series. Forgot it was a standalone race. Lime Rock Park Road Course in Connecticut. Friday was practice. Saturday was qualifying in the race. The pole winner was Corey Heim, driver of the number 11 Tricon Garage Toyota. Road course ringer Jordan Taylor was in the number 7 Spire Motorsports truck. He had the pole for the longest time during qualifying until Heim went back out and set down the better lap to end up getting the pole. The race basically was dominated by Corey Heim. Heim led every lap, won both stages, and had the fastest lap of the race. Because this was a standalone race for the Truck Series, there was no live pit stops due to the pit crews being in Atlanta for the Truck and Xfinity Series races. So the Truck Series teams had to use their own traveling crew members that work in the garage or come to the track every week to service their vehicles under controlled pit stop conditions. So basically what this did is took out the use of pit strategy for the race. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how Heim was able to maintain the lead every lap. However, he did have obviously a very strong and fast truck, and he's a very good driver. And he was just able to keep the lead on restarts. So give him props and kudos to him. The other thing is that at the beginning of the race, the TV coverage showed some tires from a couple of the teams because of the old asphalt surface on the track. It was really hard on the racing surface of the tires. Some of the teams were having large chunks of the tires that had blistered up and had peeled off. It was crazy. I had never seen anything like it before. And that's what even some of the commentators were saying, that it was crazy how much the tires were falling apart, basically. But for the most part, it didn't seem like that was too much of an issue. I watched the race, and I honestly can't remember if there were at least one caution or more from flat tires. I'm sure there probably were, but I just honestly don't remember. It was cool to watch. This was a new track that, the Truck Series, I don't know if they've ever raced there. They may have a long time ago, but it's been a while for sure. It was cool to watch. It's a really, in my opinion, a really cool road course. So like I said, Heim ended up winning. He's the driver number 11 Tricon Garage Toyota. This was the the fifth win of the season for Heim. And like I've said previously in the last couple of weeks, either Heim is dominant for the entire race, gets the win, or he's dominant for a majority of the race and then somehow either gets dumped, has a part failure, or gets a flat tire or something out of his control, and it costs him to be able to get the win. He by far is been the most dominant driver this season in the Truck Series. P2 in the race was Ty Majeski, the number 98 Thor Sport Ford, and P3 was Gio Ruggiero, the number 17 Tricron Garage Toyota. Truck Series is now off for approximately a month. They return to the track on Friday, July 25th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. The next is the NASCAR Xfinity Series race report and the race report for Jeremy Clements Racing from Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta. There was no practice. Qualifying was Friday afternoon. There was only one round of qualifying due to the lightning in the area. Pole winner ended up being Sheldon Creed, the driver number 00 Haas Factory Team Ford. This was the new Haas Factory Team's first pole award. Jeremy Clements qualified P26. He said on his radio to his crew chief, Case Kallenbach, that his car was a little loose during his qualifying run. The race start on Saturday evening was delayed due to lightning in the area. Once the race did get started, Jeremy battled a loose car during the first stage. On lap 36 of 45, there was lightning in the area again, and the race was red flagged. Cars were brought down to their pit boxes. 2 crew members were allowed to come over the wall to put a car cover on the car, and they had the drivers exit their cars and then take shelter until the lightning and bad weather left the area and it was clear to come back on track. There was approximately an hour and 20-minute delay, and then stage 1 restarted. Once pit road opened, Case Kallenbach had Jeremy come down pit road to try to flip the stage and get on a different pit strategy than the other teams. Only 12 cars out of the field stayed out at this time and didn't pit. On lap 41 restart, there was a big wreck involving 9 cars. Jeremy was able to drive through the carnage without getting any damage. The stage ended under caution. In the first stage, 17 cars in the field were involved in wrecks, resulting in only 24 cars on the lead lap and 9 cars out of the race due to damage from those wrecks. And, you know, basically it's part of the way, you know, super speedway plate racing is now. It's all cars are all bunched together in a tight pack and are drafting, and car pushes a car the wrong way or takes air off of the rear of a car or whatever. One car spins and they're all together. All of them are going to wreck pretty much. So that's pretty much what happened. Jeremy ended up stage 1 in P15. So at the end of the stage, they stayed out, and during that stage, they continued to battle a loose and tight car. They couldn't get the balance perfect, and on a restart on lap 86 of 90, Jeremy restarted P5, but on the restart, his car stumbled when he gave it gas, and as a result, Brennan Poole, the number 44 Team Alpha Prime driver, ended up bumping into the rear of Jeremy's car as Jeremy was trying to pull down the track, causing Jeremy's car to spin, bringing out a caution. Jeremy radioed into Case Kallenbach that he ran out of gas. He said that he tried to get out of everybody's way. Case told Jeremy to pit and take a penalty so they can put gas in the car, as Jeremy was able to get the car refired and get back to pit road. They did get it to pit road, got gas, at least one can of gas in the car, and then Jeremy was sent back out on track by Case. So they wouldn't go down a lap, and they were already going to be penalized to go to the end of the longest line, so they pitted again under caution, this time to finish their pit stop, getting more gas and tires and adjustments. When Jeremy got back out on track, Case Kalmbach, his crew chief, told him that he didn't know why they ran out of gas, as their calculations told him that they had enough gas to finish stage 2. Ultimately, Jeremy ended up finishing stage 2 in P25. Because they pitted when the pits were closed, Jeremy restarted the beginning of stage 3 at the tail, the longest line, in P25. During this stage, the handling of Jeremy's car was a little bit better. Jeremy was able to get up on the wheel and drove the car forward through the field. He was also able to gain spots on pit road with good pit stops by the pit crew and also by good pit strategy by Case Kalmbach. Ultimately, Jeremy ended up finishing the race in P10. Another great team effort by the pit crew, Case Kalmbach, the crew chief, RC, Jeremy Spotter, Gabe Wood, Jeremy's car chief, and the rest of the team in the pits. They deserve a lot of credit, along with the team back at the shop that does all the hard work getting these cars prepared. Another great, like I said, great finish for Jeremy Clements Racing this past weekend. As a result, Jeremy Clements is now P19 in the driver point standings. He is 6 markers back behind Brennan Poole, the driver of the number 44 Alpha Prime Chevy, for P18. So hopefully Jeremy can continue a good run this weekend at the Chicago Street Race, which is this Saturday, and will be televised at 3:30 p.m. on the Central Standard Time on the CW. So make sure you tune in and watch. Basically, my report for the Xfinity race in general, it was a good race. However, it was a race of attrition due to wrecks. 24 of the 38 cars that started the race were involved in some way in a wreck on track during the race. Several good cars were taken out in a big wreck in the first stage. 9 cars were taken out of the race in that first stage. So typical plate racing, drafting track, that type of stuff happens, where the big one happens because one car in the middle of the pack gets loose and wrecks and takes out everybody else around them. So unfortunately, they took out some really good cars. On lap 157 and 163, the restart, Nick Sanchez, the driver of number 48 Big Machine Racing Chevy, Jesse Love, driver of number 2 RCR Chevy, and Carson Kvapil, driver of the number 1 Junior Motorsports Chevy, battled for the lead. Sanchez was able to get the lead from Kvapil, with Kvapil following close behind. Connor Zilich, driver of the number 88 Junior Motorsports Chevy, then challenged Kvapil for P2, but Kvapil was able to stay in front of Zilich. Love dropped to P5 as Eric Almirola, the driver of the number 19 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, battled Kvapil for P2, and Kvapil again was able to maintain his position at P2. Sanchez ultimately ended up winning the race to get his first win of the season and locked himself into the Xfinity Series playoffs. Carson Kvapil finished P2 in the number 1 Junior Motorsports Chevy, and then P3 was Sam Mayer in the number 41 Haas factory team Ford. Again, like I said, this Saturday, the Xfinity Series takes on the Chicago Street Course at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the CW. The Cup Series race was pretty much like the Xfinity Series race. Qualifying was moved to one round due to lightning in the area. The pole winner was Joey Logano, the driver of the number 22 Penske Ford. Start of the race was delayed due to weather. The race started with lightning and dark storm clouds off in the distance behind the track. And then finally on lap 43, the race was red flagged due to lightning in the area. All the cars were brought to pit road. 2 crew members were allowed to go over the wall, put covers over the car, and drivers were allowed to exit the cars and take shelter. The race was delayed approximately 15 minutes. Once the race got restarted on lap 49, 8 laps later on lap 57, there was a big wreck involving 9 cars. 12 laps later, on lap 69, there was another wreck. This time it was the big one involving 28 cars. The race was red flagged due to the amount of debris and cleanup that needed to be done on track. This wreck took out a bunch of really good cars and also ruined pretty much everyone's in-season tournament bracket, as this was the first race of the in-season tournament bracket challenge, over starting with Atlanta and going through the next 5 races. The Cup Series, this was also the first race that was broadcast on TNT of the next 5 races, or I should say 4 races after Atlanta, or Echo Park, I should say, are going to be televised on TNT. Again, this big wreck was basically a result of this current gen Cup car, the way it races on super speedways and plate tracks. It's a lot of pack racing, which unfortunately results in wrecks. In my opinion, it was a decent race. I know there's some others that has said it was boring and they don't like it because the cars are so even and they have to run side by side from one another. Unlike the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is now Echo Park Raceway, which is going to be hard for me to get used to saying. They were able to run, spread out more at the old Atlanta, where now it's the new configuration. Atlanta Motor Speedway is a pretty much a 1.5 mile super speedway, which in my opinion, I really enjoy. I mean, I like the old Atlanta Speedway, but I enjoy this new configuration better just because of the racing on track. So, again, like I said, a lot of pack racing, which resulted in the wrecks. Lap 233 at 260 on the restart, there were several lead changes, which made the race pretty exciting, between Brad Keselowski, the number 6 RFK Ford, number 17 Chris Buescher, RFK Ford, Alex Bowman, number 48 Hendrick Motorsports Chevy, Zane Smith, number 38 Front Row Motorsports Ford, and the number 9 Chase Elliott Hendrick Motorsports Chevy. They all kept jockeying for positions back and forth, exchanging leads from one another. It was really exciting, those last 27 laps. On the white flag lap in turn 2, Chase Elliott finally cleared Brad Keselowski for the lead. Elliott ended up holding on to the lead and winning the race, with Keselowski finishing shortly behind him in P2 and Bowman shortly behind Keselowski in P3. Elliott got his first points race win this season and locked himself into the playoffs. This weekend, the Cup Series takes on the Chicago Street Course, Sunday, July 6th at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on TNT. That is my race report recaps from Lime Rock for the Truck Series and then Echo Park for Xfinity and Cup Series. This week, my Rob's Racing hot takes. There was some more stuff I discussed last week. The Kenny Conversation podcast Kenny Wallace does, that he had Mark Martin on as a guest a couple weeks ago. And another thing that I didn't get to discuss last week that I'm going to discuss this week, I was thinking about it over the week, and they both were saying that the difference in NASCAR now is that there's not a villain per se, like there used to be back in the day. For example, like Dale Earnhardt Sr., who, rattled people's cages or whatever to get them loose, or didn't put up with anybody's crap, raced people hard, that type of stuff. And they were saying as a result of that a lot of people, once Dale Earnhardt Sr. passed away, that identity left the sport and it really hasn't been replaced. I mean, they said Dale Earnhardt Jr. obviously was the focal point of the sport after his dad passed. But now he's no longer in the sport, so there really isn't a per se villain that is in the sport. And they were discussing that Carson Hocevar, the driver in number 77 Spire Motorsports Chevy, is and should be considered the new villain in NASCAR and be the current version of a Dale Earnhardt Sr. And I see some similarities between Carson and Dale Sr. Carson is very talented, and has the skill and the ability to drive the car and get the most out of the car every week, no matter what issues he has with the car, even if it's not perfect, just like Dale Sr. was able to. Obviously, Carson Hocevar speaks his mind. Unfortunately, he spoke his mind and got fined for saying some stuff about the Mexico Street race, or the Mexico Road Course race, and also was sent to sensitivity training school and fined by his team. I'm sorry, he didn't get suspended. He got fined. Hocevar also has ruffled some feathers, especially with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., where he wrecked him twice in 3 weeks in Nashville and at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez road course in Mexico City. And then, Hocevar has had other run-ins with other drivers, but, maybe it's time for him to let his personality and stuff come out and let him be like the Dale Earnhardt Sr. of past. I don't think anybody's ever going to be able to replicate or be exactly like Dale Earnhardt Sr., one of the greatest drivers of all time in the sport. I don't think that's possible. But some similarities, absolutely, I can see that. The problem is Carson Hocevar now has got under the ire of the upper management of Spire Motorsports, and they had a talk with him after, some of the stuff with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., obviously finding him, and first comments about Mexico City and some other stuff. So, another driver in the Cup Series, Ross Chastain, same thing. Ross is very talented, much like Carson Hocevar. Ross ruffled feathers a few years ago when he was, being aggressive and, would rattle some cages per se, like Dale Earnhardt Sr. would do, where he'd get into a car and he'd dump them, and they get in an argument or post race or whatever. Ross, even I remember a race where Ross punched Noah Gragson in the face. I mean, after a race, because they got in an argument about something that happened on track. So I think I agree with Mark and Kenny that NASCAR needs an identity of like a villain per se, somebody that has a outspoken, big personality that is not afraid to, be themselves and not, be a corporate person per se, or vanilla, or whatever you want to call it. Because actually, Chastain also was, got the ire of the owner of Trackhouse, Justin Marks, when stuff was going on, when Rick Hendrick said something after Chastain wrecked one of his drivers. And, I agree. There needs to be somebody that's the villain. Yeah, obviously you got, Chase Elliott, the most popular driver in NASCAR. He's basically the face of the sport right now. Denny Hamlin sort of is a villain. Speaking of that, I thought it was funny. Denny Hamlin was the number one seed in this in-season tournament, facing Ty Dillon, the driver of the, I believe, number 10 Kaulig racing car, I believe it is. He ended up after the race, chirping Denny Hamlin a little bit, saying, "Hey, Denny Hamlin fans, I eliminated your favorite driver," which is basically a play on what Denny Hamlin said when he won a few weeks ago and said, "Daddy, I'm sorry, but I beat your favorite driver." And then the broadcast person interviewing asked him who that is, and he says, "All of them." So, Denny Hamlin gets booed. Kyle Busch is another one that gets booed. They're both future Hall of Fame drivers. I'd like to see more attitude and more personality in the sport, maybe. Like back in the golden age of NASCAR, like let's see, back in the 70s through the early 2000s. That's just my opinion. I've thought about it and digested it for the week, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I mean, here, two more examples, just in Cup, but for example, in the Truck Series, you got the longest tenured Truck Series driver, Matt Crafton, who races for ThorSport, and he has raced in every Truck Series race since its inception. He doesn't put up with anybody's crap. And Johnny Sauter, the same thing. When he raced full time for ThorSport and GMS, he was the same way. He didn't put up with anybody's crap. They were two good examples I could think of for the Truck Series, Xfinity Series. I mean, there's a lot of young drivers that drive over aggressive and over their heads at times. One of the drivers I could think of that's sort of, I guess you consider maybe a villain, is Sam Mayer, the driver of the 41 Haas Motorsports or Haas factory team. Ford, he seems to find himself in situations sometimes with some drivers where he pisses them off because he drives them rough, and he got in a physical altercation. I can't remember with who it was a couple of years ago, and he got punched in the face and post race. So, he's one. Another one, very good driver, but is extremely passionate, and at times lets his excitement and passion get too much. And that's Jeb Burton, driver of the number 27 Jordan Anderson Racing Chevy. I like Jeb Burton. He's a very good guy, good driver. He just at times he's another guy I think is could be considered a villain per se, where he drives and he doesn't put up with people's crap. So those are just a few I thought of. It's not a cut on any of those drivers. It's just, that's my opinion. And I think the sport needs people like that. I don't know. So that's my hot take on that for this week. My other hot take, just announced today, Daniel Suarez, the driver of the number 99 Trackhouse Chevy, announced that he mutually agreed with Trackhouse to leave the team at the end of this season, which sort of surprises me. But at the same time, Suarez really hasn't he won last year in Atlanta, made the playoffs, but he really hasn't produced or performed as, he won the Xfinity Series championship. So the guy is definitely very talented and he's a very good driver. And just for some reason, he hasn't been able to translate that performance from the Xfinity Series to the Cup Series. So this now means that more than likely the 99 car seat's going to be filled next year by Trackhouse driver Connor Zilisch, who currently drives the number 88 Junior Motorsports Chevy in the Xfinity Series. Zilisch has got 2 wins and 4 poles this year in his rookie season in the Xfinity Series. Plus, he has run 3 Cup races so far. I don't know anybody else that would go to that car unless they decide they're going to sell the charter or put somebody else in it. I mean, SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen is in the 88 car, and Ross Chastain is in the 1 car. So, I guess we're going to wait and see. But I am guessing that Connor Zilisch is definitely going to the 99 car next year in the Cup Series. Just my opinion. I was a little bit taken aback by Daniel Suarez. Like I said, great driver. I'd be interested to see where things shake out and where he ends up going. I don't know. I can't think of any Cup Series rides that may be opening this coming, this next year. I don't know. Maybe he goes back to Xfinity Series or the Truck Series. I mean, Matt DiBenedetto was in the same situation, where he went from the Wood Brothers down to the Truck Series with Rackley War for a couple of years. And then he went to 2 years ago to the Viking Motorsports, a brand new team. And, they're doing well for a brand new team. And he's enjoying racing in the Xfinity Series. So I don't know, maybe Daniel Suarez goes back to the Xfinity Series and competes for, another Xfinity Series championship. Another driver that has gone back to the Xfinity Series from the Cup Series, Daniel Hemric. I'm sorry, that's gone back from the Cup Series to a lower series in the Truck Series is Daniel Hemric. Hemric, also won a championship in the Xfinity Series, went to the Cup Series, didn't perform, didn't get the same results as he did in the Xfinity Series. Very talented driver, but things just didn't work out for him. And now he's in the Truck Series this year. He's won a race and he's locked into the playoffs. He races for McAnally Hilgeman Racing, so in the Truck Series. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see in the off season or the silly season or whatever you want to call it to see where Daniel Suarez plans and what shakes out for him. But Daniel, like I said, is a good driver. He deserves to be in the sport. It's just, I guess it comes down to a team that has a ride open and I guess probably funding. Like it comes down to for every driver for that matter. So, and then I guess we'll move on to my last hot take for this week. And I discussed it a little bit during my race recap, is the hatred by some fans about super speedway racing and pack racing not being that great, especially after on this new configuration of Atlanta or Echo Park Speedway, because the cars are so close together and don't get spread out like they used to be able to on the previous or old configuration of Atlanta Motor Speedway. I get it. I'm a person that doesn't like change, for the most part, as you all well know. If you listen to the podcast, I guess I just consider me a grumpy old opinionated race fan. But either way, I digress. I think I like the racing in Atlanta. I really enjoy the racing. It is, at least there's passing. Yeah, there's wrecks. When you see wrecks, a lot of people like not familiar with the sport tune in to see the wrecks, and that's the excitement that they like to see. To me, I'm not a fan of that because it's a lot of money that teams are paying and drivers are risking getting hurt, or worse, could be possibly seriously injured or killed, God forbid. But I think the racing is good, and with out of all the type of racing this year, other than North Wilkesboro with the current Gen Cup car, which I think was the best race so far this year with the current Gen Cup car, the Atlanta race is always good with the Cup car. Don't know why, but I guess it's just that way. And then when the big wreck involving, what was it, like 28 cars happened during that race, immediately I thought of Tony Stewart's comment after he wrecked out of the 2012 Talladega race. And he basically said, we didn't crash enough cars. We need to crash the whole field, run half the field backwards and the other half the other way. And then he also said, we should make the track a figure eight. That'd be even better. And then he said, sarcastically said, I'm upset we didn't crash more cars, as that is what the fans want. Is that really the case? Is that what the fans want? Just wrecking and carnage, and only having, half the field still on track without damage, being able to race? I don't think that's what the fans want. I mean, I think the fans want to see exciting racing. Obviously, wrecks are going to happen because of part failures, tires failing, aero issues, whatever it may be. That's part of racing. But I don't think fans want to see half the field or more knocked out of a race because of a wreck. That's not what I go to a race for. But some people may. I don't know. But I don't know. Let me know. Send us a post or a message or something on our, when I upload this podcast to our Spotify, and let me know what you guys think. That's my rundown for this week. Just want to let you know this episode was brought to you by SBJR Designs. SBJR Designs is a new partner of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. The owner of SBR Designs is Mark Bass. That name sounds familiar. Mark is the son of famous NASCAR artist Sam Bass. Mark is following in his father's footsteps and is now starting to get into doing NASCAR artwork. Mark and our host Bobby recently spoke with one another. Mark liked what we were doing with our podcast and decided to partner with us, so we could promote his getting into the NASCAR artwork, and that he would promote our podcast as well at the same time. So it's a win-win for both of us. Check out Mark's Instagram at sbjr.design to see some of his work. You'll be surprised. He is ultra uber talented, just like his dad, Sam. Does some amazing work. Like I said, he's just now getting into NASCAR artwork. He was doing other design work and stuff previously, which you'll see on his Instagram page. But yeah, like and give him a follow, check his artwork out, and welcome aboard, Mark, and your business, SBJR Designs. A reminder, if you have not done so yet, please check out stickygears.com and purchase one of our Area 51 Racing Podcast t-shirts for just $15. A portion of the proceeds goes directly back to Jeremy Clements Racing to keep Jeremy Clements on the racetrack. Also, please check out Anna Moore Designs, LLC, for more Area 51 Racing Podcast merchandise, such as custom tumblers and garden flags. A portion of the proceeds from these sales help keep this podcast on the air. Our Area 51 Racing Podcast stickers are also selling fast. They are $8 each for the big stickers. And we're also selling 3-inch stickers, the smaller stickers, for $4 each. If you're interested in buying a sticker, contact Bobby Peters, our host, if you are interested in purchasing one. Gale Beard Products is a partner of Area 51 Racing Podcast. Their products are the official beard products of the Area 51 Racing Podcast crew. Go to www.galebrand.com to place an order. At checkout, enter the discount code Area51 and get 15% off your order and free shipping. Remember, guys, make them say it. Gale. Check out the Racing Warehouse website for Jeremy Clements hats from their apparel company, Armadillo Apparel. Also check them out for any sheet metal, diecast, or other racing memorabilia needs that you may have. Also check out their Facebook page and other social media platforms, as they daily post auction items on there, such as sheet metal, team used apparel, fire suits, pit banners, etc. Diecast, you name it. So check out the Racing Warehouse at their website and also their social media platforms. For your NASCAR diecast needs, please check out Circle B Diecast, the official diecast company of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. At checkout, enter the discount code Area51 for $6 off shipping. Also check out their social media platforms, especially Circle B Diecast Facebook page, as they have weekly auctions going on of different diecasts on there that you can bid on. And then also check out on eBay their they have 3 different eBay sites: Circle B Diecast or Circle B. They have their Circle B Foundation site, and I'm drawing a blank on the other one. But if you type in Circle B Diecast, you'll be able to find their three eBay sites where you can bid on different diecasts that they offer. Check out Benzik Designs, the official diecast display products of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. Check out Matt Benzik, the owner of Benzik Designs, Etsy page to order your 124, 118, and 164 diecast display stands. At checkout, make sure you enter discount code Area51 for 20% off your order. If you're interested in purchasing any Kylie Glick Racing merchandise, please go to the Kylie Glick Racing Facebook page and click on the link in our new merchandise post. That also reminds me to also let you know that our Area 51 Racing Podcast 100th episode t-shirts and hoodies, they're being, I should say, they're in the process of being set up for printing. And the storefront is being set up at this time. Once that is set up, we will let you know. I know a lot of you are antsy to get your orders in. We're sorry it's taking a little bit longer, but we want to make sure this is perfect and everything goes smoothly. the product is going to be out of, no pun intended, out of this world. And we want to make sure it's top notch and everybody's extremely happy. I know personally, Ken Reynolds, the owner of Overwear Apparel LLC here in Elkhorn, where I live, and he has been a lifelong friend, him and his wife and their families, and they do amazing work. So I know everything's going to turn out well. Just please give us a little grace and patience while we get everything set up and working, so everything goes smoothly and everybody has a good buying experience and rep our merch for our 100th episode proudly. On that note, thank you everyone for joining tonight. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can always watch our podcast live on YouTube channel or listen to it at any time on Spotify. Just click on the Area 51 Racing Podcast logo on Spotify app to listen on your phone, in your vehicle, on your computer, tablet, whatever. Any device you're able to upload the Spotify app to, you're going to be able to listen to our podcast at any time. Bobby, Dave, and I greatly appreciate if you give us a listen. If you like us, share with your friends, like, comment. We would appreciate it. Give us feedback, whatever. That's what we're here for. This podcast is by the fans for the fans, and that's our motto. So if we're not doing something right or something you don't like, let us know. If you like I said, like our podcast, share it with your friends and family. Please also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media platforms on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Area 51 Racing Podcast. And on that note, thank you to all our partners who make this podcast possible. Bobby, Dave, and I are greatly appreciative to you all, especially also to our listeners and viewers. We can't thank you all enough. Without you, we would not be able to do this. On that note, thank you to Spartan Waste, Fox Sports Spartanburg, Harrison's, Action RV, Kylie Glick Racing, Mattman Designs, The Runner's Roost, Alliance Driveway Solutions, Anna Moore Designs, Circle B Diecast, Driven Sunglasses and Driven Trackside, Elite Towing and Recovery, High Speed Auto, Boost Pops, The Racing Warehouse and Armadillo Apparel, Belcher Cheesecake Creations, Flying Form Concrete Structures, First Pacific Funding, Gale Beard Products, Wings, etc., Dialed In Focus Pouches by Whitetail Smokeless, Benzik Designs, Schanzenbach Landscaping, Enigma Tattoo Studio, Aero Parts Group, Overwear Apparel Group LLC, SBJR Designs, and Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing. Again, thank you to all our partners. Without you, none of this would be possible. And also none of this would be possible with all our listeners and fans. Thank you for tuning in to episode 83 of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. Remember, get out and support your local racetracks and local drivers. You may be watching a future all-star at your local track that may be racing on the circuits in NASCAR someday soon. So on that note, everybody have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July. Be safe. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night.